30 minutes goes very quick, but we definitely want
Yeah.
to interject questions that the group has. Feel free to just kind of post into the chat, and we'll definitely get to everybody. Rafael, do you want to kind of give your background?
Yeah, most people call me Rafa, so feel free to call me Rafa too. Feel a little bit more connected. I'm just a Brazilian living in the US. I moved here 5 years ago. I've been in the ad tech industry for the last 11 years. I worked for companies like Yahoo and Criteo, acquired experience in multiple different areas, from ad operations to technical solutions, product marketing, and now I'm like on the media role at Bear, and I basically lead retail media activation at the Bear Consumer Health Group. And I'm celebrating like my 5th year in the US, so for me this week, so I'm very excited about that.
Congratulations. 5 years, it's a milestone. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, and I had a lot of stories here. I had my child here, so I'm really proud of achieving that milestone.
no, it's awesome. It's monumentous times in life. So I mean, I think I want to make this as conversational as possible. I know when we did our prep conversation, it was pretty fluid.
Yeah.
We have a focus, but we can kind of always interject and to the group. Feel free to kind of jump in with any questions, and we want to make sure this is as more robust as possible for the community. So I mean, maybe kind of start high level. What exactly does a retail media activation do at a drug company?
Yeah, I think before I jump into that, it's good to clarify that Bayer has different areas, right? So we have like crop science, we have the pharma group. I work specifically for, like the Bayer consumer health line of business with brands like Aleve, One A Day, Claritin, Miralax, which are all OTC. So it's really important, and retail media plays a key role in here to be present where our customers are basically shopping our products, right? So speaking about retail media specifically, if I had to summarize what I do, basically would be online advertising at the retailer websites, apps, and networks. So think about, like Walmart, Target, or Dollar General, Kroger, whatever, like the consumer can find our products in the online environment. Those are the platforms for me and my team that are working with today. And I'll say that's really happy for me to be in this area. I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially given like the shift from shopping behavior, to online after last year. And I'll just like quote a few numbers here because I think they are really expressive. Like Walmart online sales grew 79% for 2021 fiscal year. Target online sales alone crossed like 16 billion in 2020, and curbside pickup, which is like one of the service they offer, it grew by 600% year over year. So that's really expressive and show like how just consumers are buying products in a different way. But like to make this shorter, like my job is to make sure we're buying and optimizing shoppable media through those platforms and not staying relevant only for existing consumers, but also bringing new people, letting new people know about our products and what they sold for. We have like a very extensive line of products for, I'm not sure if you're everybody watching this know, but OTC meds for pain like Aleve and Midol, nutritionals for One A Day, Flintstones, and the allergy and the upper respiratory category for Claritin, Alka-Seltzer Plus, and digestive health. So there's a whole big portfolio that we can activate, and I think this is really exciting to be.
Yeah, and as you said, obviously these are the channel partners, and they've grown as you sell your products through these channel partners. How are they receptive in terms of evolution, in terms of communication that you've given? Because look, they have seen the growth as well. So it is a little bit bidirectional in terms of communication you give. Are they receptive to evolving to kind of meet your needs as you push more to them?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And I also want to say that Bear, our group, we were selected or award, I don't know what the right word is, but by Exchanger as like the best in-house media team for 2020. We're once again finalists for 2021, so that means a lot to us. I'm really proud to be in this group. But with that, I think we have like a whole team of experts here at Bear Consumer Health that are bringing a lot of other learnings from like past experiences and just like stories of them as people. And we're trying to connect all these dots and come down like to the retailers and say, hey, I think we have like those insights that can be really helpful to your platform. How about this feature? How about like, we're trying to do things in a different way? And I think they're really receptive to that because retail media specifically are a very new area compared, when you think about like social or like programmatic space. I think retail media has been in the market not only, just for a few years. So I think we're helping those platforms to evolve their capabilities too. But
No,
to
go ahead.
no, I think they're really receptive. I think we try to keep every project that we lead into a more, trying to solve a bigger problem or a bigger business need for both sides. And that's the approach that Bear is taking right now.
Well, no, and that's great that it's not just, kind of moving product. It's more obviously the collaboration, as you said. And congrats, I talked about this yesterday. Congrats on winning a great in-house team. It's awards season, so it's always a good time. I think there's a question from Eric Tash. What tactics, regardless of retailer, are you seeing most effective? It's kind of get down to the operational piece versus the strategic, and then we can kind of jump back into the strategic in a moment.
Yeah, I think that's a important question to ask, and something that we're constantly asking ourselves, like how we're measuring performance, like what's important. I think in the end of the day, it's very related to what each brand is trying to achieve. Sometimes we have like new brands, they want to just like grow in household penetration or like just get more people to know about that brand exists versus another brand that's like has like a highly competitive space and they want to thrive and gain more market share, or sometimes it's just people, to consume more of the same product. So I think at the end of the day, it's hard for me to define like, oh, this tactic's like a silver bullet, because like they all change and vary according like to the brand objective. What I can say though is like for each one of those brands, we try to think very strategically on how we approach media, where we're buying, what audiences we're looking, to activate against. And most importantly, what's going to be, good for the consumer and how can we make that message and that point across in the most effective way. Of course, when you think about, like retail media specifically, we're talking about, tactics like search because, you basically being able to reach people that are already looking for a determined product and or a determined symptom that we want to for them to benefit from our products. So that would be like the one of like the key areas for retail media specifically. But also, of course, there is much more that you can do depending on on the brand objective.
Not to have a personal bias, but love that you threw search in there. So thank you. So, and you kind of raised a good point. There isn't one silver bullet tactic. It almost goes, the initial saying is, a problem well defined is a problem half solved. So each brand is going to have a different strategy. If it's more of a well-known brand that reaches everybody, it's going to be a different tactic that's going to be executed versus, hey, bringing awareness to the marketplace of a new brand.
Exactly.
One of the things, and I think obviously, probably more importantly, since you have multiple different brand managers and teams, you're able to leverage insights, against, your counterparts. Is that beneficial to you kind of as a leader for the campaigns that you have? Tell me a little bit more about, kind of like the collaboration and, ultimately now being a little bit remote for the last, however long this thing has gone on. How are you kind of adapting to the situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone is trying to learn this new module on, working remotely in a virtual environment. For
Hmm.
me personally, starting, in a new role, remote was difficult. I would not lie, just because you miss like just hearing the conversations here and there. You miss like just watching people around talking about the brands and get more familiar with those. But I think in general, Bear has a great collaboration between all cross-functional areas because, in the end of the day, and I think that was one of the key benefits of being like an in-house team. You talk to everybody. You talk to people. If you want to learn more about certain channel, certain brand, there's always someone that's very open and excited to teach you more about something. So that exchange was really beneficial to me, and we do talk a lot. We talk about the brand objectives. We talk about like new features, things that we want to do in the future, but also to try as like the next step. So there definitely a lot of collaboration, and I think that was something that Um, being in the brand side, that's like my first time. I've always been on the other side of the table working for ed tech platforms. But I'm really happy to see like how concise Bear can be with this team, like to strive like towards like the same objectives.
No, and that's great to hear. It's, we've all been forced to adapt. So you talked a little bit about, we talked a little bit yesterday about, the data piece, and obviously I know in the back of everybody's mind is the deprecation of the third-party cookie, and I know Google has pushed it out, for quite a bit while. How are
Yeah.
you guys looking to adapt on that? Knowing that you have so much, data that you guys have in house. How are you guys? And definitely don't say anything that you can't, since I know this is recorded. How are you guys looking, and is it going to be kind of a big challenge you face in the next kind of 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, I think I will try to respond that without touching any, data that's I cannot share. But I think we are in the same boat as everybody else in the market. Like we're still waiting to Google to define what the new solutions for identity will be. We're still waiting on like data partners to define what their alternatives will be. So I think for anybody watching this, I don't think they have like a clear vision where exactly they want to go or how they're going to use like the different options that are out there. And I think for Bear specifically, where I see one thing that's important is like the relationship with our customers through like the retailers. They have like access to the, their own first party data. I think that can be relevant in the future, but it's just like one piece of it. There's so much more they're still waiting on, and I think everyone here watching this might be asking like the same question, right?
Yeah. No, it's we're all struggling with the same thing. It's, I heard years ago, data is the new oil. Hopefully, it's better for the environment. But having the head of Ford be on before. So talking about the electric vehicles. So in terms of how much feedback do you provide? Is it on a cadence with some of these retail platforms? Say, hey, here's what we're seeing. How do you evolve? I mean, it's, as you said, they are somewhat nascent platforms that are only growing, and the growth is to ultimately service, your guys' needs. How much communication are you having, and what levels is it with kind of the sales reps? Is it with the product people at, be it the Walmart, the Targets of the world, to kind of influence product development within the platform side, having come from a platform yourself, and obviously me being on the platform side as well?
Yeah, I'll say that there's a lot of communication, and we're trying to be very clear about our objectives and what we're. I think the platforms, in the end of the day, I think we are working towards the same thing, right? Like Bear wants to more people to get aware of our products. The retailers trying to make more sales, and we try to find like ways to connect those two dots. We have expertise not only from people that worked into different platforms, but also from learnings that we get on the everyday uh, you know, activation and like the feedback loop that we get from those. So we're constantly evolving, our needs as well as like, just learning from the other platforms. And we are very clear about that with all the partners that we work with. Meaning like if we learn something on X platform and we saw that was successful, that will almost immediately raise a conversation to the other ones to see if that's something that can be done, and vice versa. Sometimes like there are other opportunities of feature capabilities, and they will ask us if we are interested or how that would benefit their business in general. And I think that happens all the time. So we're trying to be like as much transparent as we can be to go over the same objectives again.
Yeah, no, we can lose for all sorts of reasons. Communication should never be one of them. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, and has there been one surprising, channel? Are you seeing one growth over another? If you can't say it based on, corporate stuff, it's totally fine. But is there certain, trends or channels you're seeing that, wow, this surprised me. This is doing better. This could be an avenue of growth, because obviously everybody that's listening wants to know what's exciting, what's new, and ultimately, frankly, what to invest in. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that touches a little bit of proprietary information. I would not rather, speak about specific terms. But, I think we're testing a lot of different things, and we are trying, of course, like trying to measure everything that we test. That's the important piece. And I think the most important thing for people in this call is like not only get the data, because data alone is, you know, the data alone doesn't do much, right? You have to have a team or like have partners who help you to interpret that data and to get actionable insights from that. And that's what Bear is trying to do right now.
Well, that's the key, right? Actionability. And I think we're almost at a point where there could be too much data, and just to make sense of it. And then, we're seeing investments within, significant amount of business intelligence analysts. It's over and above kind of moving pieces. It's more, what are you going to do with it? What's the long-term vision? What's the upside? So I think, feel free to jump in with questions, post it to the chat. I mean, if you want to I'm always big on what's the kind of 2 or 3 big takeaways that, the audience can get anytime we kind of host or speak on panels. Is there maybe two or 3 big takeaways you want to give to, and we can talk about all day long, to kind of give to the group about what you've seen, the development and the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think speaking about my area of expertise here, like which is, retail media and why I think that's so important to the market, especially in the upcoming years. I think that's a very special channel for 3 big reasons. Like the first one, you have basically the ability of reaching consumers at their point of purchase, right? Like you're being able to capture not only brand but category hand raisers, as well as like invite new shoppers in environments where you're like just a few clicks away to purchase. So that's really important. I think the second piece is like the data set, and around all that thing that we were talking about, uncertainty, a lot like the cookieless world, we don't know what's going to happen. I think retail media can be, I don't know how much influence that will have alone, but the fact that we have, you know, I think that's something that differs a lot from Brazil, for example, where like I'm from. We don't have like a retailer like, you know, retailers like we have in the US where you can cover the majority of the US population. They're all available within like 5, 10 miles of every, US American citizen. We don't have something like that in Brazil or like, Latin American countries. And I think that can be a really true differentiator when you think about what's new types of identity you want to create in the future. I think that's number 2, and number 3 is like being able to activate an environment where you can have attributed sales reporting, or like basically being able to better measure what you're investing on. And I think that's the 3 things that I see on retail media that excites me about, and being able to work with those platforms. And what I really expect to the future is like, to then in those platforms and just to evolve on those 3 key areas, and making sure like we're able to do more, we're spending, able to spend effectively at scale. Those are things that are important to Bear, but also for the other manufacturers in the same space. But I think for, retail media, those are the key takeaways that I would give to the audience at this point.
Well, and you hit upon a great point. Everybody being within 5 miles to juxtapose. I was like putting juxtaposed in a moderation session. Juxtaposing kind of Brazil. I mean, look, where you are and what you buy. Those are really the main things, and hopefully, leveraging some of those pieces on the data side can, sidestep the third-party cookie issue as you guys kind of grow. So in terms of, that's the evolution. I know we talked about like, what do you want to evolve to? What are you thinking? Over and above that, what challenges, you did hit upon probably at the end talking about scalability. People can have great ideas, but if it's going to reach 3 people, probably might not be worth investing in. How do you guys look at scalability? Is it, looking to reach more people that might be interested? Is it more, top of the funnel, and then over time they will convert? So do you have a framework against scalability, over and above just pushing product to certain people?
I mean, I think if you think about Bear, I think we are lucky to work in a company where our brands are, known by most of people, like Bear Aspirin, like One A Day. Those are pretty, popular brands, and it's like relatively easy to find people who, who are already tried the product once, or like, we do have a framework in a lot of ways of working with different brands and how we want to reach each one of those objectives. I'm not sure, to be completely transparent. Kind of proprietary information. I will not touch that, in detail. But I think if I have to give like to the audience some hints, would be like, see what's the proposition, the value proposition that your brand is trying to the consumer. And I think that's the key, because like you're not looking for a buyer, for your brand. You're looking, how can I solve this person problem, right? And you go, who has, who can be this person who has like a similar problems and might be interested in, in a product that I just happen to have, right? So I think at the end of the day, it comes back to like, supply and demands. Like if as simple as that, like you have to have people in demand for a product. And then I think what digital media does is just like enabling us to have like a new way and an easier way to find like the people that are in demand to the products that we can supply. And I think that's the thing, and a conceptual level, that I think sometimes people forget and just think about, like the technical terms of it. I try to look at a way of more, let's go back to, back to basics, like who's the people that want our products, how can we find them, and then we start from there.
No, you hit upon a great point. This is a marketing leadership conversation. So it's, any brand or, any company should say, what purpose do you have to exist? What value are you extracting, and who is that value to? So you're right. We often, in tech, often hit upon the how we're doing it, the trees versus looking at ultimately the forest. So that's one kind of key takeaway. That's key without saying anything on a proprietary level. Having, and you're right. It is, what the benefits of obviously media. It can amplify the message, but it also can be precise. So there is that ultimately duality. Against what we're all doing here. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's the key. And at the end of the day, as marketers, I think sometimes it's easy to forget they're just like helping to communicate a message, right? We're trying to um, to make people aware that the products exist, and make sure we're communicating the key value proposition of each one of those products to the people. And I think when we come back to that, root, I think everything becomes easier, and the platforms are just like in ways to enable that. That's the way how I like to think about it.
No, that's great. So what, I think maybe one thing, what excites you every day? As you said, you started during the pandemic. What excites you kind of, getting out of bed, seeing the kids, hopping into whatever the other room to go work nowadays, which we all are. What excites you, about the role and ultimately the future?
I mean, truly, working for a company which the vision is, health for all, or hunger for none, it's something that's key to me. Like I'm living in a world now where we see the value of health, like how important that is to me, to our friends, to our family. And working for a company that, truly cares about the consumers and make their life better is something that excites me. So I work for brands, and today they're really trying to, help other people. I am, a heavy user of them myself, and I think that's something that I'm really proud of. So, and I think the beauty of like the world that we live in today, and especially when you think about other companies going in-house, is that you marketers not only have, the platforms to work with, but you can really choose a company that you're passionate about and go work for them. And that was kind of like what happened to me. Like I had a lot of experience in the ad tech space, especially on like the technical side of the business, and I'm able to apply some of that knowledge now to something that I really care about. And to my son, like to my family, as cheesy as it might sound, I think it's true. Like I'm just trying to be a better person, and leverage some, the good for other people as well.
No, and you hit upon the main point. Being passionate. I see Pete change to wear Grateful Dead shirt. You gotta be passionate about what you're doing and the brand you work for. And once you're behind the brand, and love it, like you do amazing things. So no, so I see. Pete, how many of these do you have? Kind of the backgrounds. I see the Flintstones. This is totally relevant. I love
I'm
it.
just going along as we go. I just listening to Rafa. I love what you're saying. I also loved how he pleaded the fifth a few times. right? It gets everyone curious to see what this guy's doing. Very good market value for you out there. You might be in demand right now because you got secrets going on there. I think in-housing is another panel itself, like discussing how the in-house model is working could be another full day, actually, which I think is cool. A couple of things I wanted to just kind of touch upon before we hop into the next discussion is as we move this year, one of the big trends this year is commerce-driven media, right? So people are racing to the bottom of the funnel now because there's a lot more options to convert or move someone down that, purchase funnel.
Yeah.
How do you again, you're lucky because you have these great brands on top. I mean, we wake up with you every Sunday morning. I wake up with Ulise, right? that makes my day a lot better. But how do you balance, brand awareness and then obviously all the great options out there to show your boss you just spent $2 and made $5?
I mean, it comes down to the brand objective, what they are trying to achieve, and I think we are a media arm of Bear Business on the consumer health side. I think we're playing more like an execution role in like defining, aligning very well on what those priorities are. Because sometimes like it's very easy to invest on, you can have like a high return of investment, but what if the brand goal is actually to have more household penetration? So you have to be speaking the same language. But we always give our perspective in terms of like what's the final result that some campaign or another will result. But I think if we're aligned on the objective, then it's much easier. And I think being an in-house team makes that a lot easier to execute.
I mean, you nailed it also. One, you can collaborate a lot more across the brands because
exactly,
if you win, they win, and vice versa. You'd be a hero. You'd be walking down the hall like a hero every day, right? But then also you live the brand too. You're connected to it. You're just as passionate as they are.
Yeah, I think we are all the same team. We're just playing in the same side of the field.
That's right.
So that makes the total difference, I think, because I think that's why I love working for this company. I think everyone is in the same level of passion what they're doing and about the brands that you're promoting. I think that's another thing too, right? If you're promoting brands that you're not proud of, it makes your job a lot harder.
You're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong place.
Exactly. And
we got to end it on that because I see the next panel coming in, but I thought you guys were great, Todd. I thought you were rich when you came in with that background. Tell the designers. It looks so real. Rafa, good luck. Welcome to America. 5 years in. Brazil's amazing. A lot of Lebanese in Sao Paulo, so we love it.
Yeah.
But we appreciate, and again, people can watch what you guys just did on VOD if you missed it. And we're moving over. And by the way, before you hop out, I have the Flintstones here, not only because I grew up on these guys, but our next panelist, Claudine Patel, is at Post, and Fruity Pebbles has been fueling my day today. So we're going to go from Fred Flintstone to Fred Flintstone back to back. All right.
That's awesome.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Very much.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, Rafa.
See ya.
IP matters, right? People want those Flintstones every morning. And they want them either with milk or as a vitamin. And on that note, I see Claudine coming in from Minnesota, I think.
I love the plug, by the way. I like your background.
You like that? Yeah.
I have absolutely nothing. So, there's nothing. And, I don't even have a really nice background. I should, but
But you're in the office right now. You're not even at home. That's crazy to me.
No, I've been coming since September. So it's and I live in Chicago, so I've been commuting to Minneapolis.
On an airplane, or are you taking you going via vehicle?
No, airplane. Yeah, it's an hour versus 6 hours. I'll take the hour.
Yeah, you're right. Listen, it's all good. I'm happy to have you guys here. It's been an amazing day over here. I mean, the C-suites are coming in. I mean, having the CMO of an incredible company with a lot of brand equity is a special privilege. Lisa, is that you say your name, Lisa? Lisa. I tried and I failed. That's what I did.
Thank you for prepping me up, though, Lisa.
So listen, I want you guys to kick it off. You're from Ampersand. Who are you? What do you do? Let's frame the discussion. I'll be back in 30 minutes to say hello, and maybe with a new background, we'll see. But
I like it. Keeps us on our toes.
Do me a favor, Pete. Find a Honey Bunches of Oats one. So
That's a good one.
that's my challenge to you.
I will take that challenge. Okay. If I do it, I want an RFP. Okay.
All right.
I'll see you later.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi. So as Greg mentioned, my name is Lisa Nikolai, and I am head of client partnerships with Ampersand. Just quickly want to introduce myself, and then we are going to get this thing rolling. It's super excited to have you on board today, Claudine. This is a big deal for you to take the time to meet with us. So I've had the pleasure of working with Ampersand for the past 3 years. We're a data-driven TV advertising, sales, and technology company. And as our name implies, we are bringing inclusion to a very fragmented marketplace. And we work with marketers and brands such as yours to help you reach your consumers across screens, our viewers, and to bring that holistic approach. So we're excited. We think we're at a really exciting time in our industry, which is changing like crazy. And I have the privilege of